Hello everyone and welcome to the Horror Homestead. My name is GiBi and we are still reading Five Nights at Freddy's the week before, an interactive novel. We are on night 5 of 5, but definitely 6, and also a new game plus probably. We are Ralph. We are about to survive Freddy's, I hope, which is weird because we definitely know the phone guy dies before night 5 in the original FNAF. But we're gonna see what happens and how we have to deal with Foxy tonight, because it seems like we're always just dealing with Foxy. You start your last shift ever at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza with mixed emotions. This has been a killer week, but you handled everything well, and the events of the last 4 nights have reminded you that you're still very good at your job. The animatronics require... no, they deserve caretakers who appreciate them and understand them. And you've always been just that. And yet, you can certainly do without the high stress and anxiety that you might not survive until morning. Your daughter needs someone to take care of her, too. The night watchman can always be replaced, but she only has one dad. Okay, technically fathers can be replaced, but there is definitely only one Capella, and you'd like to be in her life as she grows up. That's what all this is for. So you can get a job with a lower mortality rate and a better work-life balance. For some reason, you've had a hard time remembering each night after you go home, until you come back to work the next day. Like it says in your employee handbook, what happens at Freddy's stays at Freddy's, unless there's major coverage in the papers and nightly news. Friendly reminder that Coppelia's name comes from a play in which there's a girl who's a robot doll thing. It's also interesting for him to say that he can't be replaced, but then maybe he can be? Like, I know that he's talking about, like, foster parents and adoptive fathers and stuff, but, like, maybe he's a robot, or maybe she's gonna be a robot. You know, you always gotta keep your toes on. That's not the expression. You always gotta keep on your toes when you're reading this kind of thing. One of the drawbacks of working the late night shift is there are no coworkers to see you off on your last night. You always thought if you left this job, the company would throw you a big going away party celebrating your many years of service. Then again, considering what can happen at Freddy Fazbear's pizza parties, you're probably better off not drawing too much attention to yourself, as sweet as it would be to hear Freddy sing For He's a Jolly Good Fellow to you. Actually, it turns out the restaurant didn't even open today. You don't know why. Maybe it was because the dining area was such a mess, you think guiltily. That doesn't affect your shift, though. Except, who knows what the animatronics have been up to all day on their own. Which reminds you about the job you have to do. This is no time to fall asleep at the wheel. You switch on the monitor and check out the show stage camera. Your seat isn't even warm yet before you jump up from it in surprise. The stage is empty. It's just after midnight. The animatronics are way ahead of schedule. They could be restless after being alone all day. Hopefully, they aren't upset about their party last night being interrupted. They might be seeking out revenge. Or they could be angry that you're leaving. You've been a part of the Fazbear family trademark for so long, perhaps they don't want you to go, or they don't want you to get away. You laugh off these ridiculous notions as you punch buttons to check each camera. You've definitely been working here too long if you think the animatronics have a vendetta. They can only respond to external stimuli according to their programming, like recharging when the lights go out, or restoring wandering exoskeletons to their suits where they belong. You find the animatronics immediately. Bonnie is at the far end of the West Hall, heading toward the security office. Freddy is in the dining area, making his way down the aisle toward the security office. Foxy is halfway through the curtains of Pirate Cove, also probably on his way to the security office. Who told them you're leaving? How do they know? You swallow your panic and keep clicking around. Chica? Where's Chica? The kitchen camera is dark as usual, but you don't hear anyone in there. Chica could be anywhere. You glance over at the open door on your right. She could be anywhere. We can close the left door, we can close the right door, we can listen to the kitchen feed, or we can check the vents. I think that check the kitchen feed is the kind of slow and steady wins the race way here. Nope. You switch back to the audio feed from the kitchen and crank the volume on your monitor, leaning closer to the speaker. You hear the hiss of air over the microphone, the hum of the TV, the static crackling. It's as quiet as it... Wait, Something is rustling, moving about. Then you hear a raspy sound that's almost human. It makes moaning, guttural attempts at speech. Weird. Usually Chica just knocks some pots and pans around in there. Is she trying to tell you something? You lower the volume on the monitor, but you still hear the sound as clearly as if they were coming from right behind you. Your skin crawls. You switch off the monitor, and in the darkened glass is the distorted reflection of Chica standing over your right shoulder. She opens her mouth, and the airy sound she makes could be the word heck. Oh, she's saying hello in the creepiest way imaginable. The monitor reflects back the utter fear on your face, and the instant Chica grabs you. Game over. Well, that was the wrong thing to do. Checking the left door is definitely death, because she's never in the left door, she's always in the right door. She could be in the vents. So we're going to do the wrong thing and check the left vent. Close the left door. This isn't FNAF 2. I'd love to get a week before book for FNAF 2, maybe from Willie Afton's perspective. You know Bonnie's moving at a good clip down the hallway, so you rush over to the entrance on your left and slap the button that lowers the heavy door. There. Good luck getting through that, you wascally wabbit. You head back to your seat but draw up short because Chica is standing across from you, framed in the other doorway. That's a big chicken, you think. Somehow she seems larger in person, when she isn't up on stage, and she's on the verge of killing you. This is probably the end for you, unless you happen to be carrying something that could save your life, for at least a few more minutes. Okay, we have the cupcake, because we didn't give it to our daughter. We have the water pistol, and we do have the flashlight. If you are empty-handed or don't want to use anything in your inventory. So we have 4 options that are all completely possible that we can do. Let's start at the bottom and work up. So we're going to start by doing nothing, and then we'll end with the cupcake. You grab your desk chair and shove it at Chica to slow her down, then punch the button behind you to open the door. With any luck, Bonnie hasn't made it all the way down the hall yet, and you can hide in the supply closet until help comes in the morning. You almost trip over your own feet getting out of the office, but it seems you've used up all your luck this week. Bonnie is blocking your access to the closet. You back up into the West Hall corner. Bonnie slowly advances toward you. Thump. 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 You giggle madly as a stray thought short-circuits your flight or fright response. Thumper would have been a better name for him, but Fazbear Entertainment was already in enough legal trouble without the additional headache of fighting copyright law, because Thumper is the rabbit from Bambi, and so Disney would sue them. Do you get it? Chica watches you from the West Hall door, inside the security office. To avoid looking at either of the animatronics keeping you cornered, you stare at the poster of Freddy Fazbear on the wall. It should read, "Let's Party," but instead, Freddy is ripping his own head off. Why would he do that, you wonder? Strong, plush hands settle on both sides of your head. The joints in your neck pop. Game over. Alright, now we're gonna use the flashlight on Chica, which won't work because the flashlight's for Foxy. You fumble around in your pockets for anything useful, and come up with the flashlight. In the aftermath of The Bite of 87, staff spread tips around the restaurant of how to slow or stop the animatronics if they ever attacked again. You put a stop to those harmful rumors, once again earning the title of Employee of the Month. That time, the prize was a special pizza named after you for 30 days. It proved unpopular and only lasted 4 days though. It turns out no one wanted to buy a pizza named The Ralph, covered in anchovies and artichokes. Also, Ralphing means vomiting, so that's probably also the joke here. You don't really blame anyone. You can still taste the monstrosity. One of the survival strategies suggested at the time was shining a bright light into the animatronics' eyes to disorient them and temporarily lock them in position until they reset their sensors and recalibrated their programming. You slide the button forward on the flashlight and aim the beam directly into Chica's eyes. That little trick might work on another animatronic, Foxy, but Chica loves being in the spotlight, and she's about to make you part of the show you will never forget. Game over. Now we're gonna use the water pistol. You draw your water pistol, aim, and fire at Chica. A stream of water arcs from the plastic toy and splashes harmlessly against her Let's Eat bib. Huh, you say. Should have expected that. You pump the trigger of the water pistol, showering Chica with droplets, but it's not enough water to affect anything but her mood, and the security TV. Electronics sizzle and pop, and smoke wisps out of the chassis. The air smells like burnt ozone. Now you can't keep an eye on the other animatronics, but that's okay, because you have one right in front of you, and she's demanding all of your attention in the little time you have left. Game over. So, obviously, there's still other paths we didn't even try yet. but it is interesting that it's possible that you can't win this path unless you have the cupcake. Like, this might be a hard lock, unless the other options earlier about, like, closing the door, checking the vents. Like, maybe you can skip through the vents if you don't have the cupcake. But interesting that this might be a hard lock. The only thing you can come up with is Mr. Cupcake, Chica's iconic prop. Her eyes lock onto it and she extends a grasping hand. Bingo. You're glad you didn't give this presumably useless toy to your daughter, though she would have loved to have it on her shelf, and it makes a nice memento of your time working at Freddy's. This might be the only thing that can save you from the voracious chicken. Now that you have her attention, what do you do with the cupcake? Throw it, Chica, throw it in the East Hall, throw it into the open vent. We're gonna do all of them. We're gonna start at the top. Let's throw it at Chica. Chica takes a step towards you, still reaching for her prop. The sudden motion startles and frightens you, and you nearly fumble Mr. Cupcake. You catch it before it falls, juggle it between your hands a few times like a hot potato, and then toss it in Chica's direction. Stay frosty, you shout. You probably thought she would catch it and then turn and leave, but instead the toy bounces off her bib and tumbles to the floor. It rolls out of sight under the desk. Chica's expression becomes an angry frown. When she opens her mouth, oh my god, I just got the stay frosty joke. Like obviously that's like, it's like stay alert, that's a thing that you say in the military, but because it's a cupcake with frosting, I get it. Oh my god. Chica's expression becomes an angry frown. When she opens her mouth, she hisses static and garbled, terrifying sounds stream from her beak with human teeth. Something latches painfully onto your leg. You look down, and Mr. Cupcake has glomped onto your calf and is biting down hard. Blood squirts and sprays everywhere. He's chewing through an artery. Your leg starts to feel cold. You kick vigorously to try to shake Mr. Cupcake off, and then try to pry him from your leg with your hand, but he won't let go. You're losing blood fast, which only makes you weaker. The room spins. You lurch, stumble, and fall. You drift in and out of consciousness as Chica grabs Mr. Cupcake and leaves the security office, dragging you along with it by the leg. It seems the two of you are now inseparable. Until death do you part. Game over. Alright, we're gonna throw it in the East Hall. You only have one hope. You can't get away from Chica, so you need her to get away from you. You wind up your arm like a pitcher on the baseball mound, and you throw Mr. Cupcake past Chica and into the East Hall behind her. She glares at you before turning and following her faithful prop out of the security office. As soon as she's gone, you jump toward the button by the door and slam the palm of your hand into it. The door whooshes and clangs, dropping down and locking the animatronics out. Or, if you look at it another way, the door is locking you inside. You flip on the light in the east corridor and watch Chica's shadow move away from the office. It sounds like the cupcake is hopping away, and she hurries to catch up to it. Footsteps thudding and echoing down the corridor. You wipe sweat from your forehead. Thank you, Mr. Cupcake. You listen at the left door. It sounds quiet, so you open the door and look out. No sign of Bonnie, but he's probably close by, perhaps seeking another way inside. Oh, another way inside would be the vent, yeah. We're gonna check the cameras again. I'm big smart enough to know that he's in the vent, because that's what it says, but I'm still gonna check the cameras. You pull up the camera for the West Hall to check on Bonnie's progress, but he isn't your main concern anymore, because Foxy is racing toward the security office. You jump up and close the left door to block Foxy, but his footsteps are loud and fast in the hall. He could reach the door before you can shut it. Act fast, close the left door, hide in the vent, use the water pistol. The water pistol doesn't work on Foxy. The water pistol works on... The flashlight works on Foxy. Why don't we use the flashlight? Is that an option? No. Oh, this is what Foxy looks like, though. He's a big, spooky man. We're gonna close the door, even though it says we can't. You leap toward the button besides the left door and slam your palm against it, as if more force will make it close faster. As soon as the reinforced barricade falls into place, you hear a frustrated scream and heavy fists against the metal. The door shakes in the frame and vibrates with each impact, but it holds. You got to it in the nick of time, but movements in the corner of your eye makes you think you still weren't quick enough. Bonnie's face appears at the vent. He tilts his head from side to side and stares at you. You're surrounded, with no way out and little hope of surviving until morning. We can close the vent, use the flashlight, defend yourself. Again, the flashlight only works on Foxy. Are there other options? No. Let's try to close the vent, I guess. You make a desperate rush to reach the button that will block off the vent. Boosted by adrenaline and your sheer will to survive, you make it there before Bonnie exits the vent. You slap the button in relief. The lights flicker and the electricity buzzes, but the ventilation cover doesn't drop. You frantically hit the button again and again, but nothing happens. The red light behind the translucent button dims. You glance at the 2 closed doors behind you. There's a reason the vent was open. It appears not enough power has been allocated to the security office to activate both doors and the ventilation cover at the same time. You'll have to choose to open one of the doors in order to divert some juice to power this one. Alas, Bonnie has other plans. He crawls out of the vent, head rotated sickeningly to look at you from the side. He opens his mouth to emit a low, murderous chuckle. Game over. Alright, we're gonna use the flashlight. You pull out your flashlight and hold it in front of you with both hands. You press the button to turn it on, and a bright beam of white light cuts through the darkness. You shine it directly into Bonnie's face. He flinches and pulls back. His eyes blink, one at a time. Left then right, left then right. It's creepy. His servos whir and his jaw stutters open and closed, but he can't seem to move. You switch off the flashlight, and his eyes roll a few times before he recovers. He opens his mouth and screams. The cry is cut off as you turn the flashlight back on again. He makes a horrible, gasping sound that repeats over and over again like a stuck record. Okay, you breathe. Your hands shake a bit and the beam wavers, but you hold it on Bonnie's eyes. The light must be causing an overload in his photoreceptors. The animatronics are all programmed to respond to the light levels, so they're in performance mode during the day, when the fluorescent lights are on in the restaurant. When it's dark, they recharge and roam. The bright light is confusing Bonnie, so he doesn't know what to do next. For how long? You hold the light and eye the clock. You just have to make it until morning. The light flickers and dims until you whack the side of it with your palm. You wish you'd installed fresh batteries. Wait until the end of our shift. You can hardly believe it when the clock beside the security monitor clicks over to 6 a.m. You've survived your 5th and final night at Freddy's. Now that the moment is finally here, you appreciate how much danger you were truly in. But by making all the right decisions along the way, you've survived one of the toughest challenges of your life. You open the doors to the security office with a measure of apprehension, worrying even now that there's a twist or that someone is pulling a prank on you. The doors are pretty beat up. You walk slowly through Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, taking it all in for the last time. Place is a little messy, but that isn't your problem anymore. Not my circus, not my animatronics, you say. You take a moment to look up at Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica on their stage. You can't help but feel bittersweet about leaving. Sure, they tried to kill you, and they've given you nightmares for the rest of your life, but they probably have their reasons for it. They've clearly been through a lot themselves. No hard feelings. You jump as the animatronics whir and run through their end-of-performance sequence, taking a bow, saying goodbye. You back up. You're not supposed to be doing that. Freddy turns his head to look at you. It's time to go. You walk through the door and take your first steps into an uncertain future. You think you should feel lighter. You made it. You never have to come back here again. But something is still weighing on you. You feel like you might have some unfinished business here. You don't like to leave a job undone, and deep inside you, you feel like you're abandoning your post. No one understands or cares about the animatronics more than you do. What will happen to them when you're not there to look after them? What will they be able to get away with? And you still don't have another job lined up. Even with Fazbear Entertainment's famously modest wage increases year after year, you still make more than minimum wage. Okay, people are gonna read into that a lot. I don't think that means anything. So he's saying modest wage increases year after year. That makes me think that Ralph working there for many years means he slowly gets raises. I don't think that affects Mike. Mike starting there day one in FNAF 1 still probably makes minimum wage. I really think that people are going to take this and run with it when it doesn't mean anything. But yeah, no, that made some alarms in my head. But no, I don't think that affects our FNAF 1 timeline placement. What kind of work are you going to find out there? Coppelia is depending on you to keep a roof over her head and food on the table, and to keep the monsters away, both real and imagined. You wonder if you're truly done with these animatronics, and if they're truly done with you. You have the sense that Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy can carry a grudge for a long time, but what could they hold against you? The worst thing I've done is lived, you say. That might be enough. You can think about it later. Right now, you can't wait to get home to your daughter. You're looking forward to getting a good night's sleep. The end? So when there's a question mark at the end, that's not the canon ending. We did survive. We did it. On our, 30th try, because we got all the other bad endings. But that is technically an ending. It's just not the canon ending. Okay, we're back at the decision where Bonnie's coming out of the vent. We tried to close the vent, the power doesn't work. Using the flashlight gets you a bad, true, a non-canon ending. And we have not tried to defend ourselves, so we're going to do that. Try to defend ourselves against Bonnie coming out of the vent. You refuse to go down without a fight. You have been dealing with these animatronics for 4 long nights, surviving by the skin of your teeth. And you are so tired. Tired of being hunted and terrified while you're just trying to do your job. Trying to keep them safe. Protecting Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy is the prime directive for every Fazbear Entertainment employee. But you've already resigned. This is your last shift. From now on, your #1 priority is keeping your daughter safe. As Bonnie begins to emerge from the vent, you scream and run at him. Bonnie hesitates and looks up at you, his purple eyes wide and mouth slack. When you reach him, you pull back your right leg and kick him in the side of the head as hard as you can. To your astonishment, Bonnie's head flies off. It hits a locker with a crash, then bounces and rolls under the desk. "Wow," you say. "Someone must have done a bad job of attaching that." Bonnie's body twitches, crawls forward a few steps, and then collapses. Electricity arcs from the torn wires dangling from its neck. You did it. You're safe, but not for much longer. You hear classical music coming toward the security office. Freddy. We can check the cameras, call the police. If you have the bonus item, you can. I don't have the bonus item. We're gonna do all these, so we're gonna check the security cameras. You're an old pro at pushing buttons. You cycle through every camera in the restaurant at a record pace, looking for any sign of the restaurant's star mascot. It only takes you a quick glance to dismiss each location, until you get to the East Hall corner. Freddy is standing there, and he's looking straight at the camera. His expression looks the same as ever, but somehow it seems more sinister. His music continues playing, but this time you recognize it. You've been listening to classical music stations on your drives to and from work for the past few days, hoping it will come up. When it did, a sudden panic attack forced you to pull over to the side of the road until the song ended, but the DJ identified it as a song from the opera Carmen about a bullfighter. An interesting choice. Is that how Freddy sees himself? Or is it a challenge to the listener to stand up and fight? You choose to fight. In this instance, it means locking your eyes on that monitor and watching Freddy. As long as you're looking at him and his song is playing, you don't think he will attack. It's a long night, watching Freddy, hoping that no one will sneak in through the vent and get you while you're preoccupied and essentially helpless. If the other animatronics are still waiting and lurking, they leave you alone. It's just you and Freddy. Your whole world is that small rectangular screen with the grainy image of a murderous animatronic bear in a top hat. You blink as little as possible, though your eyes are burning and blurring with tears. It seems each time you do, the posters on the wall change. One moment, there's a list of restaurant rules behind Freddy. The next, it's a newspaper page showing a headline about missing children. You want to read it, but you know the moment you shift your focus to anything other than Freddy, you'll be lost. But he keeps trying. You know it has to be Freddy's doing, whether he is somehow changing what's on the walls or merely your perception of them. Blink. Now you're looking at sad, scary children's drawings that make you feel simultaneously vulnerable and malevolent, as if you are both victim and perpetrator of some horrible crimes. This isn't who you truly are. It's this place. You feel like you're losing your mind. Freddy keeps trying to shake your attention. Now he seems to be shifting his position around the room, but it could just as easily be a camera glitch that makes him appear to teleport to different places. If he can do that, you fear he will somehow teleport into the security office, bypassing the closed doors. You dare not look away from the screen, but it must be nearly 6 a.m. The night is almost at an end, and you're still alive. But your eyes are weary from staring at the screen, and you worry you will never lose the image of Freddy. Perhaps it's burned into your retinas, burned into your very soul. Just as you're sure a new day is dawning, you experience vertigo, and have the sensation that you're disconnecting from your body, from reality. You black out for a moment, and when you come to, you are in the west corner of the restaurant, staring up at the security camera. What? You feel heavier somehow, but also bigger and stronger and colder. You want to look down at your hands to make sure you still have all your fingers, and that they're not covered in brown fur, and you still have organic bones, not a metal endoskeleton. But what if you look away from the camera and you're stuck in this body forever? I'm just hallucinating, you think. This isn't real. I might be hallucinating, and this is real. When 6 a.m. rolls around, your shift is over and you head home, feeling both liberated from Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and as if you'll never really escape it. So much of your identity is caught up in that restaurant, it can't be that easy to let go. You enter your house and look for Coppelia. She must still be asleep, so you go to her room to wake her up. The door creaks open and a lump under the bed covers moves. Her head pops up, hair a tangled mess as usual. She yawns big. Just as she is opening her eyes, you wonder if she will like the new you. Game over. I love that. I love that. I wonder what the mechanism is there. Like, okay, so you blacked out. Does that mean that Freddy killed you and stuffed you in a suit? Or, because it was saying that Freddy was, like, inside of your soul, that you actually, like, transported your remnant to the animatronic, right? Like, who knows how that actually works, but I loved that. I don't know if you guys can tell whenever I get all, like, twitchy and jittery, but, like, that was actually scary. That was very effective. We're gonna try to call the police. That's our other option here. Trapped in the security office, you've never felt less safe at Freddy's than you do now. The animatronics are usually aggressive and relentless, but if they keep beating on those doors, it's only a matter of time before they give. The only tool at your disposal is the phone on the desk. You pick up the handset and try to dial 911, but you can't get an outside line. You never did learn the access code that would allow you to call it. Yes, I do. It's 2014. But that doesn't mean you're completely helpless. You start dialing the extensions of other phones around the restaurant, the dining area, the kitchen, backstage. On the security cameras, you pick up the ringing, and immediately the banging ceases as the animatronics are lured away. They'll be back, probably soon. You hope if you keep this up, you can keep them busy chasing the ringing away from the office. You notice the red light blinking on the phone. That wasn't there earlier, you're pretty sure. It could be an automated announcement from management. They try to avoid direct conversations wherever possible. Or maybe someone has sent you a message. You dial into the voicemail system. It prompts you for a 4-digit password. Try different combinations. Enter 1983, enter 1987. If you have the ticket, you may check it here. I do. It says 2014. Or hang up and wait at the end of your shift. We gotta try all these options. This is crazy. There's like so many things here. Oh, just like the idea of this lore. Okay, we're gonna try different combinations, and definitely we're gonna die here. You punch in the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and the recorded voice says, incorrect passcode. You didn't expect it would be a combination an idiot would have on their luggage, but you never know. Wow, deep cut Spaceballs reference. Next you try 0000, then 1111, all the way through 9999, but no dice. You might as well be rolling dice since there are 10,000 possible combinations, and the chances of you happening across the correct one before your shift ends are slim. You shrug. It's not like you have anything better to do, and it's a fine way to kill time. In frustration, you start typing numbers randomly. Amazingly, one of these attempts works. Voicemail. You have one new message. Press 1 to play. Unfortunately, you were so engrossed in trying out different combinations, you forgot to continue calling around the restaurant. Something grabs you and pulls you backward, kicking and screaming, toward the vent. The phone handset clatters to the floor. A tinny voice comes out of the speaker. You don't know me, but this is really important. Freddy and the others will. You'll never know who left the message or what was so important, but you're also not in much of a position to care anymore. Game over. Alright, so that was the Spaceballs ending. Now we're gonna try 1983. This is gonna... I'm worried and excited about how this works. 4 digits. Could be a year, you think. You can't remember what year the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria opened, or its predecessor, Fredbear's Family Diner, but one year does stick out. It was known as the Big Bite, until it happened again 4 years later, kind of like how World War I was just the Great War until another one came along. The Bite of 83 is the Big Bite. I love that. Yes, that is canon from now on. Speaking of tragedies that could have been avoided. You punch in the numbers 1983 and the phone line crackles. Then you hear a sobbing child. There's definitely a little boy crying on the other end of the line. He's shouting, "No, let me go." You lean forward. "Hello, hello? Are you there? Talk to me, kid." "No, please. I don't want to." Your skin prickles. You realize you're listening to a recording. You can't help anymore. "Give you a closer look," another boy says, his voice mean and hard. You hear children's laughter and bubbly pop music, one of Fredbear's original hits. The secret ingredient is you, which you haven't heard in years. "Hey, stop that! Put him down!" a man shouts. "Get back from the stage! Do not touch the bear!" This doesn't happen in FNAF 4. People start shouting and screaming. The music plays on. The boy cries on. Until... You hang up the phone, but you can still hear a child crying. You twist around in your seat and see... Crunch. So Golden Freddy totally just got you. Wow. That was amazing. That was actually incredible. Like, obviously seeing it in FNAF 4 is still, like, hauntingly, depressing. But yeah, reading it in that way was, like, so wild. And it still lends credence to the idea that, like, there's something haunted about the restaurant itself, the FNAF 1 restaurant. So just dialing in 1983 gives you this direct line to the past, because that's where the ghosties are. Okay, so now we're going to try 1987. Maybe this will tell us who the bite got the bit from. 4 digits could be a year, you think. You can't remember what year the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opened or its predecessor, Fredbear's Family Diner, but 1 year does stick out. Who could forget the so-called Bite of 87? You shudder. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe. You punch in the numbers 1987, and there's a long pause before you hear 2 garbled words, slowed down. Idosapticaroni. That's incorrect. Passcode backwards. It takes you a moment to understand it said incorrect password in reverse. The voicemail system is glitching out. You try typing the numbers again, or should you enter 7891 instead to get it back to normal? This time you hear a series of clicks and the whir of a tape deck being rewound. Then a voice speaks. It sounds familiar. Then you recognize it as your own voice. You're listening to a recording you made some time ago for new employees. Someone has edited it.
Oh, hey, good job, night 5. Keep a close eye on things tonight, okay? We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it. So just get through one more night. Hang in there. Good night.
Thanks for the words of encouragement, past me. You wish you could leave a recording for that guy. Keep dialing to the end of your shift. Okay, so then we live and we get the other ending that wasn't real. Okay, so we have the ticket, or we can wait the end of our shift. So we're going to do the wait our end of our shift one. Okay, so that one also we just live. Okay, so we have the ticket that says 2014. So we're going to do that. You reach deep down into your pockets and fish out the prize ticket you found in Foxy's Pirate Cove. Now that you look at it in better light, you're not positive that those dark stains are from food at all. It's because when you first got it, it said tomato sauce. Okay, so this also makes me think, 1983 and 1987 do something. 2014, I've always been a strong believer in FNAF 3 taking place in 2015. Maybe this is hinting that it's 2014. Big think. You check the back of it, and just like you thought, there are 4 numbers written there in pen. 2014. I wonder. You punch them into the phone's keypad. Voicemail. You have 1 new message. Press 1 to play it, 2 to listen to save messages, 3 to record a message for another extension. You tap 1. Message 1. Received 5 minutes ago. The line clicks and you hear a woman's voice. There's no women in FNAF. Whispering, Ralph, if you're hearing this, you've probably realized by now that something is going on with the animatronics. They aren't acting normally, even for them. And it's because of you. Who is this? How does she know my name, you think? And how is any of this my fault? You're probably wondering who I am. I bet you don't remember me, but you interviewed me for a summer job at Freddy's, and you decided not to hire me. Ralph, you saved my life. I'm shook. Who is this? Management often invites you to screen applicants to see if they've got the right stuff for the job when there's more than one person interviewing. It isn't often that a woman wants to work here, so you do remember her now. Her name was Bronwyn something. Only thing is, you gave her a glowing recommendation and were surprised when management didn't hire her. Backwards, that's New Norb. I don't think that means anything. You might have been influenced because Bronwyn reminded you of your daughter. Bronwyn. That's totally a real name. Now I have to look up Bronwyn. There's a character in a novel, How Green Was My Valley, named Bronwyn. So let's see. Alright, so there's a lady named Bronwyn Morgan, who is a different character's sister-in-law, a gentle, insightful woman who goes to when he's troubled or wants to learn information that the adults hold from him. She is the mother of young boys, Gareth and Taliesin. Okay, so a motherly character with whom he's always been in love. Okay, so someone you go to for information. It's also a Welsh name that wasn't really popular or even known in other places until this book came out, I guess. So that's interesting. Obviously, with Coppelia's name being a reference to an old work of literature, I'm guessing that this is also that. Okay, so she reminded you of your daughter. She came across as smart, capable, and dependable. All the qualities you need to be a good security guard. She asks all the right questions, had all the right answers. If anything, she was too good for this place. Maybe that's why they didn't hire her. My name is Bronwyn Light. That summer I took a newspaper internship instead, and now I'm a reporter. She hesitates. Junior reporter. I've been fascinated with Freddy's for years, though, and when we started hearing about things happening there, I made it my business to dig into the truth. I found out so much, but my editor won't let me print any of it. I can't let it go. I just learned something. Don't ask me how. That means you're in danger. We all are. She takes a deep breath. Especially Coppelia. Why does she know your daughter? This is venturing into stalker territory. What's Bronwyn's angle? You have to trust me, Ralph. My sources say that the animatronics are planning something. That's right, they aren't just mindless puppets. You may not believe any of this. If you take a moment to think about it, you know it's true. They've been getting bored of night after night being the same. This whole week, they've been doing more and more than they usually do, testing their limits, as well as yours. See, since you decided to leave, they started thinking about how they could leave too. That's impossible, you think. It's not impossible, she continues. They've been messing with the power in the restaurant, redirecting it to their charging platforms, storing up extra energy, so they can travel farther. One more night, and they'll be able to leave Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and terrorize people outside, and there'll be no stopping them. I know this is your last night on the job, but you have to come back tomorrow. You're the only one who can prevent them from escaping. If you can get under the stage, you can fix the charging platform so they can't power up enough to leave. This is a mistake right here. Okay, so let's get really technical with Professor GiBi, the English teacher. So see how this paragraph starts with a quotation mark, and it does not end with a quotation mark, but the next one still starts with one. That's because that's how you're supposed to do multiple paragraphs of the same person talking. So right here, quotation starts with Browen talking, ends with a quotation mark, next paragraph starts with a quotation mark. So that should indicate that a new person is now talking, but it's not, it's still her. I bet you're wondering, well, why doesn't she do something? I did, I tried. I broke into the restaurant a few nights ago. Jeremy got me. I mean Bonnie. Sorry about that mess. So not only is she dead now, but wow, just referring to Bonnie as Jeremy, that's so dark. I've held on as long as I can, but I can't make it any longer. She laughs bitterly. So this is my last night, too. Don't worry about trying to save me. It's too late. Just worry about saving your daughter. Save everyone else. Please, Ralph. If you find my phone in the restaurant, do me a favor. Call my mother. Let her know what happened to me. She'll know what to do, and if we're lucky, she'll find my research and the stories I've written, and we'll be able to make sure that Fazbear Entertainment never... Oh. You hear a child's laughter, and then a monstrous mechanical roar. The line crackles and you hear strange tones and noises. Then Browen speaks again, but her voice is garbled and low. It's me. Click. End of message. You sit for a moment in silence, watching the clock tick over to 6 a.m. When you try to play Browen's message again, it's gone as if it had never happened. You could have hallucinated it, you think. That would be the easy way out. You survived your 5th and final night at Freddy's. You never have to come back here again. You get to leave and go home to your daughter and put this place behind you. Browen was practically a stranger. You don't owe her anything. But she chose to run to danger, to give up her life to protect other people. You were right about her. You sigh. It's not over. Okay, so now the night's over. So this path, we're going to have to go to night 6. Obviously, I want to rewind and do other paths in this night. But now we're going to go home and we're going to talk to Coppelia. You don't remember the drive, and also the bonus item for redoing the night is totally going to be her cell phone. You don't remember the drive home or falling asleep on the couch, but you wake up and Coppelia is sitting at the end of the couch, your feet in her lap, while she plays a video game. What time is it? You struggle to sit up. Dad, you messed up my high score. She keeps operating the controller. It's 11. 11 p.m.? It's pouring and gray outside the window, but it's clearly daytime. Shouldn't you be in school? You said I could stay home today. I did? You rub your bleary eyes. I don't remember that. You crashed pretty hard when you got home from work. You hear a digitized crashing sound from the TV as the pink car collides head up with a purple car. She shakes her fist. Purple car! Wow, okay, that's rough. So she's playing Midnight Motorist, the arcade game. She sets the controller down and shifts to face you. How does it feel? Huh? Being done with that job. You frown. No, Dad, no. You're done, right? You quit? I might need to go back tonight. I left some unfinished business. Let someone else finish it. You were wrecked when you came home. This week almost killed you. I just put it all behind you. I'll eat PB&Js if you're worried about the money. Coppelia presses her hands together. Please. This is where you need to be right now. But you still lie awake at night worrying about how long you can keep her safe. The end. If you sign up for overtime, tap touch here. Okay, so we could end here, or we could go to night 6. So let's see if we go to night 6. Okay, so we're not gonna follow this path. We're gonna go all the way back to night 5, and we're going to do all the paths we haven't done yet, because there's a lot of other paths. All right, so start of night 5. Chica could be anywhere. So listening to the kitchen feed, you get killed in the vents. Closing the left door, Chica gets you, right? Is that what happened? Alright, so we can close the right door or check the vents. We know Bonnie's gonna be in the vents at some point, but we're gonna close the right door. In the pit of your stomach, you feel certain that Chica is about to breach the security office, so you shut the door on your right, just in time. Someone bangs on the reinforced steel from the other side. "'Tis some visitor," you mutter, "tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more." You flip on the hall light and see the distinctive shape of Chica. She keeps pounding on the door and shrieks, "Quoth the chicken, nevermore." You laugh shakily. You often crack jokes when you're nervous, but this close call has got your pulse going. At least you know where all the animatronics are now, or where they were a few minutes ago. A lot could have changed already. Last you checked, Bonnie was on his way down the west hall to mess up your night. But you don't hear him now. He could still be lurking nearby, or maybe he's lost interest in you. Check the cameras, close the left door, check the vent. Let's check the cameras. You pull up the camera for the west hall to check on Bonnie's progress, but he isn't your main concern anymore, because Foxy is racing towards you. You jump up to close the door to block Foxy. Okay, so this does link back to a different one. If you close the left door, you survive, I think. So we haven't hidden in the vent or used the water pistol, so we're gonna hide in the vent. You run and dive for the open vent at the back of the security office, and quickly worm your way inside. You turn around and press yourself flat against the cold metal floor, peering out and trying to control your breathing to make as little noise as possible. Foxy bursts into the office and looks around wildly for you, his eyes burning white in the dimly lit room. He opens the right door, allowing Chica to enter the office, and together the two of them study the TV. They push buttons to check the different cameras around the facility, to check for you. The sight of the animatronics working together, operating technology, gives you a sick feeling in your stomach. This is more than a fluke in their programming, some faulty logic loop. They're acting strategically, with intent, and that intent is to murder you. Your breathing is shallow and you're drenched in cold sweat. This is bad, but it gets worse when you hear moaning on your left, echoing down the ventilation shaft. Foxy and Chica hear it too, and they're coming to investigate. Shaking, knowing this is your end, you turn to the left. Tears obscure your vision, but you see a large, blue blob crawling toward you. So, game over, Bonnie gets you in the vent, which we knew would happen. So now we're going to water pistol Foxy. All you have is the water pistol, so you draw it and take a defensive stance, just like you practiced in the mirror after watching the Lethal Weapon movies. This child's toy is far from lethal, but it makes you feel better, and you hope that Foxy doesn't recognize that it's harmless. Foxy bursts into the office and wastes no time rushing at you. Even though you knew he was coming, his sudden, aggressive appearance startles you, and you reflexively fire your gun at his chest. Water squirts from the pistol into a tear in Foxy's mascot suit that exposes the endoskeleton within. Shockingly, the water sizzles, and sparks shoot out of the chest cavity. Foxy jerks and stutters to a stop, his hook and exposed metal hand just inches from your neck. The acrid smell of cooked electronics reaches your nostrils. The light in Foxy's eye dies, and for a moment regret overwhelms you. You wish it hadn't come to this. He's down for the count for now, but there's no time for a eulogy. You brush past him and hurry to the back of the security office. You punch the button to close the ventilation cover, and the metal grate kerchunks into place. Not a moment too soon. Something is moving around inside the ventilation shaft, but now you hear strains of classical music. You sigh. Freddy Fazbear is on his way. Check the monitors, bonus item. Don't have the bonus items, so we're gonna check the monitors. You're an old pro at pushing buttons. You cycle through every camera in the restaurant at a record pace, looking for any sign of the restaurant's star mascot. It only takes you a quick glance to dismiss each location, until you get to the East Hall corner. Freddy is standing there, and he's looking straight at the camera. His expression looks the same as ever, but somehow it seems more sinister. His music continues playing, and this time you recognize it. You've been oh, did this just loop back? Yes, okay, so that looped back to looking at Freddy on the other camera system. So, that's interesting, that's a good one. We're going to check the vent. Now that you know the vent is there, you hate having an open access point behind your back. You'll feel much better knowing that it's secured, so you scramble to the rear wall of the security office and crouch down in front of its low rectangular opening. It's dark. You sigh and get down on your hands and knees so you can poke your head into the vent. You look to your right and squint, but you can't see into the depths of the shaft. You also don't hear anything but the soft whoosh of circulating air. It seems safe enough. Maybe the animatronics don't know about this path to the office. You retreat from the space and climb to your feet, dusting off your hands and pants. You turn and your blood turns to ice. Bonnie stands at the left door and Chica is at the right. They look at each other, then slowly turn their heads to focus on you. You drop to the ground and try to escape into the vent, but strong hands grab your legs and yank you backwards. Bonnie and Chica pull your legs in opposite directions, like when you and your daughter break the turkey's wishbone at Thanksgiving. I wish, snap, game over. Okay, so Chica has gotten into the office. This is the time when we're supposed to use the cupcake. So we use the cupcake. We have the option to throw it at Chica, throw it in the East Hall, or throw it in the open vent. We've thrown it at Chica and said stay frosty, and it doesn't work. We've thrown it in the East Hall, and that's what you're supposed to do. We have not thrown it into the open vent. You maintain eye contact with Chica as you toss Mr. Cupcake into the vent to your right. The toy bounces around in the metal shaft. Chica becomes enraged, and she rushes at you, screaming. At the same time, Mr. Cupcake sails through the air and lands on the floor between you. Chica staggers to a halt, and the two of you stare down at the object. Something has taken a big bite out of the top of it, exposing the electronics inside its rubbery outer layer. You turn toward the vent and squint to see what or who is inside. Meanwhile, Chica backs up and leaves the office with the deformed Mr. Cupcake. What could have scared Chica away, you wonder in horror. You decide to beat a hasty retreat as well, but before you even have your coat on, loud knocking emanates from the ventilation shaft. You crouch to get a better look inside. You see two glowing white eyes, then a wide, grinning mouth that is ready to take a bite out of you. I'm guessing that has to be Golden Freddy, right? Game over. That's gotta be Golden Freddy. Alright, so I think we've done every option. So, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna try to find paths that we didn't do besides the bonus item one. So, I will be back in a second. Alright, so it looks like we did all the options. It's possible that I missed one or two, but then they just loop to reunite with some of the other ones. But we have now completed night 5 of the week before, leaving us with just one night left. Although, as we all already know, we're going to have to replay the whole game again with the bonus item, which we're pretty sure is going to be Browen's cell phone. So, let's just do that. I'm so hyped for this. I'm probably going to take a little break and come right back to film the next episode. But for you guys, you're going to have to wait a little while. While you're waiting, make sure to be nice to each other in the comments, never lose sight of the things that are most important to you, and remember that Freddy stands for friendly, respectful engagement, discussion, and discourse yield success. But more importantly, give me money on Patreon. No, just joking. More importantly, make sure you stay hydrated.